Today is Wednesday, the 28th of October 2020. My name is Kwame Owusu, so welcome aboard. Welcome to your most authoritative morning show, Good Morning Africa, live on your number one station, Pan-African Television, broadcasting from Abilimpe here in Accra. My name again is Kwame Owusu, and this morning we're going to be touching on a number of issues here on the morning show, and we're going to be discussing an African story, and then we come back home to discuss some domestic stories here as well. Now, you do know that the elections in Guinea went on smoothly, where Alpha Condé has been retained as the president of Guinea amidst violent protests, etc. Now, the aftermath of the election is not something that is very encouraging, and so 21 dead in Guinea post-election violence. A lot of violence has characterized the electoral process. We're going to be touching on this particular issue here and perhaps draw some lessons from what is transpiring in Guinea, particularly because we are lacing our boots to go into the December 7th polls. What lessons can we draw from what is happening on the continent? It's imperative that we pull parity. It's imperative that we try as much as possible to see whether or not there is a certain symbiotic relationship between what is going on in Guinea and what may happen in Ghana, may advisedly. CSOs sue Akufo-Addo over Domelevo's leave. Not Akufo-Addo. You see, sometimes we should use the appropriate wording, because I think you can only sue the Attorney General per Article 88 of the Constitution. You cannot sue the President of the Republic of Ghana. Come on, let's do the right thing. Anyway, Ghana not declared HEPIC, Kojo Opon Kroma, but Arnold Kavapru, who is a financial analyst, has issued a rebuttal statement to that. I will share that with you on the show, where he tries to explain that yes, even though on a face value, the description given to persons who have overborrowed may not necessarily be HEPIC at this material moment, but if you look at the percentage, we are there. So yes, it has not been officially pronounced, but according to the financial activities, we are there. That's what Arnold Kavapru is saying. But I'll read it out, and perhaps that will also aid in our conversation this morning. The Inquisitor says, Ghana back to HEPIC, not surprising, Bokpe. So we will marry these two topics and, try and forge ahead in respect of same. Muhammad says, Ghana's economy is in tatters. The Inside Zanzibar opposition claimed 5 killed, leader held ahead of post. That we'll look at. We'll see what on. If there's time, we'll discuss the Zanzibar issue. If there's no time, we will simply just push it, to the back burner. So I have been joined in the studios by Honorable Dr. Hassan Rashid Pepu, who is the Member of Parliament for Wa Central, and he is still in the race to maintain, or if you will, retain that particular seat in that constituency. Good morning to you, Honorable. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Looking younger by the day. You don't grow, right? You are not like that. You have to grow.
Well, I am who I am.
You are who you are.
Yes.
I see. Okay, well. Right, so our very own Mujib is also here. Mujib, good morning.
Good morning.
How are we?
Champion Kele.
I like to call him Mujib Junior.
No, I'm Mujib Kele. Junior to who?
There's another Mujib, so
I'm Abdul Mujib.
Yeah, Abdul Mujib Kele. Okay.
Yes.
But he's also okay, he's Mujib Rahman.
Yeah, but
okay.
Every Mujib is a name attributable to Allah, which means the responsive. So when they say Mujib, it's referring to Allah. I'm only a servant of Allah.
I see. So you are Abdul
Mujib. The Abdul means servant
of God.
Exactly.
So Abdul
of the responsive.
Of Allah.
Abdul of the responsive. That's Abdul Mujib.
But the responsive is Allah.
Exactly.
So yes, so servant of Allah.
Exactly. I'm here to serve Allah.
And our political and social analyst also here, Dr. Abubakar Marzouk Mohammed. Good morning.
Good morning.
If I mention the Muhammad, should I say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
Oh, well,
I can.
Because it is a name.
It's a name.
You may not say that.
I may not say that. But if I mention the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then I can say that. Yes. All right. So welcome aboard again. Let me remind you that the WhatsApp number is active. Is 026084 6539. And we're also streaming live on our Facebook platform, which is facebook.com/Pan-African Television. I am also going to share the feed on my page, so you can equally go on my page, get to watch it, share the live stream so others can participate in the conversation. Right, having said that, let me kickstart the conversation from the African perspective, where we are flying all the way into Guinea to find out what is happening after the elections. And I'm starting the conversation with you, Dr. Marzouk, please.
Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours.
And oh, by the way, let me grant you latitude for just 2 minutes to address a very fundamental issue that is permeating our social fabric in respect of how we deal with politics, you know, of now, the politics of insult, politics of disrespect, politics of you know, maligning people and bastardizing them, etc. Let me grant you some latitude to be able to address this particular issue. Sir, please.
Thanks for the opportunity, and good morning to the cherished viewers of ours.
Yep.
Special good morning to the people of Nantong. Special good morning to Yana, Luna, and Nyanglana. I'm also sending special good morning to my daughter Faseha. For a long time I haven't greeted her on this program. And yes, it is good you've given me the opportunity.
In Saudi Arabia, you have a lot of friends in Saudi Arabia. No, seriously, yes, a lot. Yeah,
thank you.
From Saudi Arabia.
Special good morning to our viewers in Saudi Arabia. Inshallah, in the next few weeks, I will come there for Umrah.
You will come there after we've gone to London. Yeah. After we return from the UK. So he's not
right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good we are going straight to Guinea.
Yeah.
But remember, our departure is here.
Absolutely.
And whatever we are discussing has a direct impact on what is happening in Guinea. Or a direct symbiosis. You like the word symbiotic relationship. Yeah. You like the adjective symbiotic. I like the noun symbiosis.
Yeah.
Right. So I am alarmed by the new dimension of political insults in this country. My position is clear. Ghana's democratic dispensation has largely been characterized by politics of insults, and that is one of the major challenges of constitutional order in this country. However, this dimension should call for condemnation by everybody. The dimension is that instead of adults, teenagers, I wouldn't even want to say youth, teenagers are trained to insult elderly people. I watched a video in which a teenager, an SSS student, heaping insults on the President of the Republic of Ghana, a 76-year-old man who is qualified to be the grandfather of millions of African children. Yet, this video is in circulation.
I have not seen it.
And the most alarming part of the video is that it is being shared by adults. In that video, the only thing I can say, because the rest are words that are unprintable, I cannot reproduce them on your show. Your show is so decent for those words to be uttered here. The guy tells the president that you are also in your final year. The rest I cannot mention. And it is unfortunate that children are recruited to insult elderly people. You don't need any social psychologist to tell you that when you raise and release a monster on an elderly person, it will come back to you when it finishes devouring that elderly person. And it is unfortunate that we have moved from the culture of insults among the elderly to the culture of insults among teenagers. And it is very important that all of us rise against this political evil. The child is not at all in the jungle. The child is a member of the civilized Republic of Ghana, and I think we have to train him Another accident of birth, pardon my words, in the form of a child, descends heavily on former President John Mahama and his running mate. Words used by that child cannot be reproduced here. So you realize that in the governing political party, you definitely will have adults sponsoring this political evil among teenagers. And in the opposition party, we will definitely have others countering, or vice versa. That is very unfortunate. Very, 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 very unfortunate. Then comes Chama to me, with all due respect, an epitome of verbal insanity, who has discovered another dimension of the political insults in this country. And this dimension is trying to rope in a child, a teenager belonging to the former president in this dirty enterprise. I believe that this calls for collective rise against the evil. My argument is clear. I am complaining not because the child belongs to the former president, but because the child belongs to Ghana, the child belongs to Africa, the child belongs to humanity. And we have a moral responsibility to protect the integrity and the future of that child and any other child's future. Let me say that if we continue this way, the question will be, whom are we raising? Are we raising future leaders or generational disasters? And I believe that characters like Chama Wintume may need a kind of verbal health check to correct their lingual defects. And if we do not call them to order, seriously, what is happening in Guinea may happen in Ghana, not because of elections, but because of verbal insanity. We need to rise against this evil.
I think that they've treated this, my producers have treated this as a topic for conversation this morning. So I think it's instructive that I allow the other panelists to also have a fair share of that conversation. But it's instructive to place this argument in its proper context.
Yes.
And if I say placing it in its proper context, essentially what I want to find out is how we got here.
Yes.
Because I do know that when I became politically aware, we were not so deeply involved in such activities,
yes,
of insulting the elderly and being very comfortable at doing that and getting some political support, and nobody, simply caring about the after effects of people's utterances relative to our political conversation.
Sure.
So how did we get here, and how do we address this menacing development? Because, and it's instructive that you cite a very significant example, which significant example is very material to this conversation, that you have people who are in the biggest political parties,
yes,
who are supposed to engage themselves in issue-based conversations.
Sure.
But then when they lose the argument, they resort to insult.
Yes.
And you can cite a number of them, right? So how do we then decouple politics of policies and ideas from politics of insult? I don't know if I'm making sense. So how do we decouple that? How do we behead that monster that we are succeeding in rearing?
The beheading of that monster can easily be done in the context of patriotism. Let us all understand that political parties are vehicles on the road of democracy to the destination of nation building. But when we are too partisan and we think that partisanship is the end and not the means, definitely we will have such problems. Another way is to pursue the politics of sincerity. Politics of sincerity in the sense that we must agree to attack and to comment policies. Let's attack and comment policies. But if our attack is on individuals or institutions of trust, definitely we will have those problems. And let me make it clear that the culture of insult has been a major challenge in our democratic dispensation in the Fourth Republic. Fourth Republic has been a very large success. That one of the evils militating against constitutionalism in the Fourth Republic is the culture of insults.
I think, don't you think, and I think my senior colleague here would perhaps help us from the legal perspective, but I think that one of the reasons why people are so comfortable in openly insulting and, you know, raining insults on people is because of
the repeal of the criminal libel law.
Beyond that, also the fact that there's freedom of expression and the misinterpretation of it.
Yes.
Because people have misinterpreted freedom of expression to mean insulting people and getting away with it.
You see, what we can also understand is that I think the various, it is a collective crime, and therefore it needs a holistic solution.
Absolutely.
The various political actors, various non-political actors, chieftaincy institutions, we should all come out clearly to showcase the dichotomy between responsible freedom of expression and destructive misapplication of that freedom. We have to show it clearly. And that is why, even in spite of the repeal of the criminal libel law, we still have laws of slander.
Absolutely.
We still have laws of libel. If it is uttered, it is slanderous. If it is written, it is libelous. So individuals are still protected by the law.
Absolutely.
But because our laws themselves are sometimes mere abstracts, we cannot at all protect the individuals, the reputation of individuals in this country. And I believe that when people are made to understand the differences between freedom of expression and abuse of that freedom, people will be careful.
Absolutely.
As for the criminal libel law, no right-thinking person will call for it. Not at all. Absolutely. Because it is highly undemocratic.
Absolutely.
But then, we also have to be responsible enough to utilize that freedom in a very productive manner. And I'm saying that, look, everything is within the context of partisanship. And then it is a clash between partisanship and patriotism. If we all understand that political parties are just mere vehicles in motion to the destination of nation building, destination of constitutionalism, destination of good governance, definitely we will understand.
Patriotism being an element of our democratic experiment can be sustained if the people feel that the system treats them well.
Sure. Because
if you are being patriotic, for instance, and I've had several conversations with people when we're having an issue at the law school.
Sure.
When the person said that, look, the system does not treat you well.
Yes.
You feel that the system always wants to, you know, treat you as an outsider.
Yes.
So when you are able to go through the system, you become, independently go through the system, then you don't feel like there's a certain duty that you owe the system. Yes. And patriotism springs out of that,
sure.
right?
Sure.
So that somebody will say, I want to die for Ghana because of the benefits that I get from Ghana. Yes. Because of the fact that there's an equitable distribution of the resources of the state. Because of the fact that there's an equitable distribution of our educational system. Because of the fact that if somebody lives in Tripoli, if somebody lives in Achimasafo, if somebody lives in Fanchinibra, right? Those people are equally benefiting from the spoils of the state.
Sure.
So that they can be very patriotic
sure.
to contribute significantly their quota to the development of this nation.
That is
but
true.
They won't be patriotic if the system doesn't treat them well.
That's true. You see, if the system doesn't treat them well, they will be patriotic.
Absolutely.
But there's one thing that will still keep them and rekindle their sense of patriotism if they do it, and that is sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Kwame, let me give you a classic example. There are so many programs, but not every program will allow the kind of decent and unbiased discussions here. You allow that. You have friends. You sometimes grill some of us. You can remember some few weeks ago. The way you conduct your business here is different from the way others do. Others will not do that because they have political paymasters.
Absolutely.
You have sacrificed those political paymasters to still render service to the state. So we can still sacrifice. Let me give you a classic example. 2 days ago, I was discussing with an elder brother of mine, Alaji Inusa Alaju, and we both came into a conclusion that corruption and misbehavior in this country have become endemic. Endemic in the sense that if you are not a perpetrator, you will be a victim. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, they will affect you. Those evils will affect you. But then, If the system is not designed at all to protect you, you need to design your own system to protect yourself within the confines of the law. I don't think just in the name of the system not protecting us, we go about doing things outside the confines of outside the confines of legality and rationality. That is unacceptable. And all I am saying is that, yes, we have chalked success. We call ourselves the model of democracy in West Africa. We are proud of that. We are very, 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 very happy that for more than 2 decades, we have conducted proper constitutionalism with, of course, weaknesses as human institutions. Fine. But then, if we do not rise against this culture of insult, particularly, that is assuming another dimension, definitely, it will not be elections that will bring anarchy in this country. It will rather be verbal insanity that will lead.
Let me pick your mind on this issue as well.
Well, good morning and good morning to West Central. I hope everybody woke up well and strong.
How do you greet in your language?
Asuma.
Asuma. Nah. They say nah.
No.
Nah. Yours is.
The A.
Oh, A.
Yarajanya.
Okay. Yarajanya.
Yarajanya, did you sleep well?
Oh, yeah, I slept well. Yarajanya. Then you. Oh, nice, beautiful. Right. Okay. Politics of insult. I think that you have a vast. Yeah, you have. I mean, first of all, you've been a victim of same.
Yeah.
And you have a huge experience in the political space, and the kind of respect that you command, perhaps whatever it is that you utter here, will make a huge impact in the political conversations that we're seeking to have and the issue that we're seeking to address this morning. So I think it's important that you add your voice to it.
Well, politics of insults must be eliminated from our body politic. It's not one of the things that will win anyone a vote, because we deal with policies and we trade with ideas and opinions. We don't trade with insults. We don't tackle the person as a person. We tackle him as a political figure. If I'm talking about Nana Akufo-Addo, and I've always said it, that he was a man of a lot of talent, and I used to admire him a lot, but I dislike his policies, and I will never tackle his personality. I still retain that kind of respect for him as a man who fought during our fight against union government. You know, he was there as a young man. Every time he's talking and all that, and we used to find out who exactly this man was. But if it comes to his policies, I dislike the policies, and I'll criticize those policies. I don't think that we can have the Nana who came out promising to do all these kinds of things and fail to do them and still want power. We can have Nana who took so much money and then produced nothing virtually for anybody to see, at least in my constituency. So I criticize him for that. But for his person, well, it's a no-go area for me, and it should be no-go area for anybody who wants to criticize a politician. Distinguish between who the person is as a human being and who the person is as an occupier of a political position, and you tackle his failures and tackle the policies if they are inimical to the development of the people, and remove that from a certain personality who we want to show, who has a father or who has a mother, who has a wife, who have children, who have relatives, who have dependents, you know, who want to see him as a father figure. So I agree that we must eschew from the daily bombardment of individuals, bringing them to disrepute, abusing their essence, questioning their qualifications and their very hard-fought reputations they have kept all these years. You know, when you do so, anytime somebody does so, I know they are losing the battle. When you begin attacking in a debate,
the personality.
If you begin attacking the personality,
person,
yes,
person of yeah,
yeah, it shows that you are failing. You know, the debates.
Well, thank you very much. Very, very instructive there. Let me hear from you. I think from there we just move to the domestic issues, please.
politics of insults is something that any right-thinking member of society would not want to see in our body politics. I would want to first talk about the children engaged in.
I've not seen the video.
I have equally not seen, but to deal with that, we have some parents who are regrettably political actors or sympathizers of
one minute.
political.
To be frank with you, let me just mention one word. Whether you will allow your child to say.
Oh no! Once it's unprintable, I don't.
It's unprintable.
So we have parents who would use words that are abusive, even in the presence of their children. And children learn by observation. Absolutely. If you are with your parents and you see them, maybe a political opponent is on TV, you pass a comment that is unfair, that is suggesting to be insulting, that is abusive. The child thinks that this is the way to go. So such a child can pick it from there. We have teachers. Some are doing very well in their line of duty. We have some teachers who are unable to decouple what their civic responsibility is as teachers and what the politics they engage in is all about. So you see some of these teachers either overtly indoctrinating into these children politics at that tender age, and regrettably some would begin to teach them abusive words that we cannot, produce on this show. I would come to you, the journalists of talk shows or political shows such as this. One thing I have observed, which is quite unfortunate, is that most of the media houses are beginning to recruit political actors who are endowed with vitriolic language. Sure. If you are the type who are measured in your words, who is modest in your presentations, would want to deal with the facts, they think that there is no fire in your belly, so they wouldn't want you on their show because you cannot court listenership or viewership. So you would see hosts of morning shows, producers of morning shows or political talk shows inviting people sometimes who know little when it comes to politics. If I say little when it comes to politics, he cannot talk on economy, he cannot talk on law, governance, nothing. All that he can do is to attack his political opponents, both, all the political actors, the CPP, PNC, NDC, NPP, we are all having such characters in our midst. And I think that as journalists who have been described as the fourth arm of government, you owe the citizens of Ghana that duty to seed. Don't just allow anybody onto your show. If we are here and we begin to attack each other, as your black suit, your glasses, the child is watching. The child thinks that, it's normal to just attack. So they would learn these things, and then the effect is that they will grow with it. Why? Somebody told, I said I saw an elderly person misbehave, and the person, but he just didn't become an elder overnight. He grew up with it. So if you fail to train your child well, you will see him in his 70s still behaving, in a manner that is not worth of being called an elder. So the politics of insult that has come to characterize our political body politics is something that we all must fight, be it parents, teachers, we the politicians, and particularly you the journalists who have the media, which is the medium through which most of our words would go out. If it is good, it goes out there. If it is not good, if you are unable to keep that gatekeeper system so well, it still goes out there, and the effect will be that we will all be consumed one day by the politics of insult, and a time will come where if you are making sense, you would not even get the opportunity to speak. The political space will be inundated with hoodlums. And
thank you.
It won't help us as a nation.
Thank you very much. And for this, I think that you guys have really submitted quite passionately and dispassionately, and I'm excited about that. So, well, let's move on. Come to our country and discuss some very important issues. One of the issues that we are going to touch on has to do with the fact that some CSOs have sued Akufo-Addo over Domolovo's leave. And CSOs, by the way, civil society organizations, they've sued Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo over Domolovo's leave. And I am sure that we have, we understand the basis for this particular suit. Let me start with you, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, in respect of this subject matter. Yeah. Where the CSOs first of all petitioned the president to consider the decision of sending Domolovo home. The president never heeded to that demand, and that triggered the need to go to a competent court of jurisdiction for the court to declare as to whether or not that decision that was reached by government was one that was in the interest of accountability or otherwise. So they are in court at the moment. How do we ensure, first of all, do you think that it is proper, considering all the constitutional explanations that we've given relative to this subject matter, to even go to court in the first place? Because yes, by law, the president can instruct that anybody who is serving within the public space can go for an extended leave, leading to their retirement, etc. So is it wrong, first of all, for the president to have done that? And secondly, one of the reasons raised by the CSOs is that in the interest of public accountability, because obviously we are fighting the issue of, we're having to grapple with the issue of corruption, etc. Yeah. And they felt that Domolovo was the one who was leading that fight to expose some of these corrupt practices, that are being engaged in or being involved. That are being engaged in by some of these political actors, etc. So, really, does it find expression in conscience for them to have even gone to court in the first place, when considering the fact that the president never acted, outside the confines of the law?
Yes, I think that the CSOs have demonstrated a lot of love for this country. They have demonstrated objectivity and commitment to fighting to ensure the constitutionality in the establishment of an audit service and in the appointment of an auditor. That will ensure that, as far as we are concerned, all public money spent in the course of a financial year are properly accounted for. The moral turpitude about the action by the president is that he committed to fighting corruption. And here is an Auditor General who represents you in doing so, who has a reputation of being objective, of being committed, of being a man of no nonsense. You have a number of corruption cases gazing at you. He's working on them, and then you take him out using a technical issue of leave just before an election period. That tells you there's something definitely wrong. And let me tell you, that action cannot just go without any comment or without any action taken against the president to explain what has happened. And so the CSO's action in taking the president to court or taking the government to court to explain the action is very important, because it was unconscionable for anybody who wants to fight corruption, who has shown that who in the course of campaigning to be elected demonstrated that given the chance he was going to fight corruption, and then you come from day one, your target and person, the targeted person you have been fighting is the same person who should help you to fight corruption. Can you imagine that? You say you want to fight corruption. You have an Auditor General who is very committed, who people admire because of his objectivity. And then he's the same person you have been fighting. You have an investigative journalist who you say you emulate, you will use in fighting corruption. He is the same person you are fighting. You have another investigative journalist, first Army Yao, second you have Manasseh. Manasseh had to run for his dear life, travel out of the country, came back, and then had to ask for a security. Right now, there's a policeman following him because of threat from no other persons but from government agents. And so you begin to ask yourself, can we allow this thing to continue? So what the CSOs have done is wonderful. It's demonstrating commitment to national goals of fighting corruption, and it's telling everybody, including the president, that no matter how big you are, you cannot circumvent the process of being investigated and being exposed. A lot of financial challenges facing the government. Remember, the senior minister was exposed by the Auditor General. You know, when he took about $1 million and so without proper accountability. And he insisted that it was wrong and that he should pay back the money. The man took him to court. It yielded nothing. And in the end, the easier thing to do is to take away the Auditor General and force him to go on leave. He went to explain. He went to court to explain the thing. And then they added him more. Don't even come back during the period I'm in president. I mean, just imagine. If you are an enlightened country, we cannot sit down for this thing to just happen. The CSOs have done excellently well. And I want to commend also the minority for the opposition they demonstrated against the president when he did what he did. We want to see a corruption-free regime. We thought that the pronouncement made by the president were honest, but now we know that they were not honest. If they were honest, he would project an Auditor General who will be on his toes and provide all the reasons why he should prosecute somebody for all the many corruption cases we are seeing. So I think that the people of Ghana should be thanking the civil society organizations for what they have done and cheering them up and giving them the needed support. It doesn't matter whether it was Nana Akufo-Addo or not. If there was any other president who did what he did, that president must be questioned for what they have done.
Let's interrogate the issues further.
Yes.
The action of the president, was it ultra-virus? Did he overstep his bounds in asking for the Auditor General to proceed on leave? Because you are a lawmaker, and I'm sure that you are very much apprised with the law in respect of such matters. Did he act ultra-virus? Did he go beyond the limit? Or he acted within the confines of the law?
He acted beyond the moral confines of a president who should demonstrate leadership and who should ensure that we have a system that can investigate him and that he's not telling Ghanaians that he is hiding something. Imagine when the matter went to court about the senior minister, and he was not finding it easy because he went to court several times and failed to resolve the matter. As soon as they removed him, the same day he was removed from office, the new person that was supposed to be acting for him declared that they were no longer interested in the case and that the senior minister could go free. What is it telling you? I started by telling you about the moral turpitude about it, the recklessness in the morality involved in taking away somebody who should be of help to you.
Yeah,
everything is not about the law.
Yeah, no, but morality must necessarily
is the basis of the law.
Yes, morality cannot be discussed in isolation. It must be discussed pari passu with what the law says. Because if the law, somebody can also sit back and say that by the simple reason of the president allowing Domelevo to continue to stay in office when the law frowns on it will be against morality.
Let me ask you a simple question.
Can you call him make that advance that argument?
How many times has the president gone on leave in the 4 years he's been? An old man who needs rest hasn't taken leave for all the 4 years. I have not seen him out of the country, out of the public scene and say, I'm on leave.
His office is defined. Hold on.
Let me ask another question. Let me ask another question.
His period.
But how is
and the president was voted for by the people.
No, so these are all public offices.
No, but one public office was a declaration by the people. One is by appointment. So if one is a declaration by the people, it means that it is only the people that can sack him, and that's after 4 years. So it doesn't matter whether he has an accumulated leave and he has decided not to take it or not. Once the people decide that okay, it's 4 years, whether you have accumulated leave or not, go. That's it. This one is by appointment, and by reason of that simple fact that is by appointment, it means that if you are being employed, appointed to man that particular agency, it comes with it attending protocols that you must follow. One of such is that you must necessarily go on leave where necessary, and if you fail to do that, you can be compelled to so do. So I don't find why we have a challenge with that.
No, that can happen after the election. Nobody says that the president doesn't have the right to do so. Within the period he asked him to do so was to avoid a situation where he was investigating.
You and I cannot.
No, I'm telling you, and it shows that as soon as he went on leave and somebody took over, the person announced that a person who is a senior minister in the office of the president can no longer be investigated because they were no longer interested in the case. Secondly, we are talking about issues about law, issues about someone is appointed, another person is elected. Virtually, in the matter of public service, there's no difference. The difference is just in the election and the appointment, but they are the same in the eyes of the public and in the eyes of the law, who, when people are supposed to be serving the people, all of them are servants to the people.
But the president cannot be removed.
The president is a servant.
The president can be removed.
No, let me. I'm building a point.
Argument. All right,
let
me allow you do that.
In some countries, do you know that the president can authorize members of parliament to go on leave? They do so. At a critical point, when there is an issue to be debated, he will just say that, look, you can't come. You are on leave from now on. Go on. You didn't go on leave the last. And it disturbs the system. When you give powers to the president to do what he is doing at will, without the times, without looking at the times, and the consequence, the consequence to the public purse, then it's a problem. Because here is a man who is guarding the public purse, who is making sure things are done properly. You are facing an election. 1 year to an election, you are terribly afraid that somebody will expose you, and then you say go on leave by compulsion. There's nothing wrong when the president authorizes that, but the timing was bad. The timing is bad. It is unconscionable. We don't think that it is with good intention, and that action should not be a precedent for anybody else to follow.
By whose yardstick are we measuring that?
Pardon?
By whose yardstick are we measuring the time factor, the morality factor, and then the unconscionability factor? Because you are measuring that based on your assessment of the issue. The president, in his own wisdom, also felt that the timing was right, it was morally upright, and it was
the timing is right for him to take him out, for his senior minister to be declared innocent of a crime which is still there. And which can still be investigated.
The determination was made by the court.
The determination was made by the court upon a trigger by the acting attorney.
We cannot justify that.
No, but why are you not justifying it? When the matter came on papers, the man made the announcement and said, we are no longer interested in the case. Please, court, strike it out.
But the attorney general is clothed with that power. If they feel that they don't have enough evidence to call for another prosecution, I don't think the law bars them from.
Remember that there is legal autocracy. You can use the constitution to suppress people. You can use the law to suppress people. You pack in the United States. That's why they are fighting. The Supreme Court is now packed with the Republicans. 6-3. They can now dictate to the people what they want. And then when you cry, they say, go to court. You go to court, they vote against you. And then that is it. We don't want a situation where you can have constitutional autocracy pervading the realms of power in this country. We want a situation where people can be free, can be honest, we can have transparency, you can have accountability, despite everything. Now here, transparency, accountability are getting lost because of one man who they thought was on their nerves. Anyway, we are all Ghanaians. If this is satisfying a section of Ghanaians, let them be satisfied. But I'm telling you, we are not heading to the right direction.
The argument that you are advancing, is it fair, just, and reasonable?
Is it
because
fair?
That will be the context within which the court will make a determination. Whether or not it is fair, it is just, it is reasonable, it is conscionable to arrive at a certain decision. Which decision should either be in favor or against a certain law that is existing? Because I mean, it will be utterly impossible, right, for any court of competent jurisdiction to want to interpret any constitution, particularly when the law is clear on the subject matter. I'm not making a determination for the court, but I know on the face value, and my senior is here, that if you are going for an interpretation of the constitution, the literal rule oftentimes, you know, play that important role because the constitution says this is what it is. And we cannot import something that does not find expression in the constitution to come and interpret anything. So if we go to
Kwame, you are missing the point.
I'm not missing the point.
I'm telling you.
You are saying that, you see what the CSOs are challenging, and I think that we are all educating ourselves.
Yes.
I mean, you may know better, you may know a lot than I do, and I cannot challenge that. But if you read here, the CSOs are saying that we had hoped that the president will reconsider his decision in light of the deleterious effect of his action on public accountability and the fight against waste and corruption in the management of public finances. So unfortunately, that has not happened. Instead, certain developments since the Auditor General was forced to leave his office have only gone to worsen the situation, leaving us with no option but to seek the intervention of the court, it explained. Now, this is the issue that they are going to put before the competent court of jurisdiction. But this particular issue does not also say that the president is precluded from applying that which is in the law, which allows him.
But that's not what they are saying.
Yeah, that's the whole point. But I'm saying that if you are going to court and you are going to seek for these reliefs, you must also factor into the equation whether the decision that was reached by the president was wrong or not.
Now, have you seen their arguments?
No, but I mean,
this was a summary. This is a newspaper report.
Yeah, but they are not challenging. They are not challenging the decision of the president.
Huh?
They are not challenging the decision of the president to ask him to proceed on leave because that.
But nobody is challenging it. Even me here, I'm not challenging it. So I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Look, to have the right to do something does not mean you should do it all the time.
But it also means you can do it all the time.
It doesn't mean you cannot do it, but it means also that you should be careful about the timing. You should be careful about the cost to the public purse. You should be careful about the sensibilities of the people who elect you. You should be careful that you are not tagged as somebody who wants to serve yourself and not the people. Right now, he's serving his interests. It's not in the interest of the people he asked the man to go and leave.
How do you determine that? That's what I'm struggling to.
But how do you determine that it is not in his interest?
That's why he took that decision.
Pardon?
That's why he took that decision.
But that's why they are going to court. You see, let me tell you that.
But the fact that they are going to court does not mean that the decision of the president is wrong.
But the fact that the president has taken it off does not mean that he's right. You know, because that tells you the position of the Supreme Court. That tells you the position the Supreme Court is going to take.
Yeah.
And we should all be interested in listening to them. But I'm saying that to have the law doesn't mean you are always right. Look, I tell you, you can go out of the street here and then something can happen to you. You go to court and the court says, produce any evidence. You don't produce the evidence. They said, okay, we can't talk. It's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were slapped, you were beaten, you were booted. But you had no evidence.
Well, the rule of the game is evidence, actually.
And so, yes. And so, because of lack of evidence, because of court procedures, the procedure in the law is as important as the law itself. Because of your inability to produce any evidence, the person who did all the things he did to you would go free. In other words, the law is not always right.
Yeah, but
even though the law is the law.
Civil procedure will tell civil procedure tells you, but the law is the law based on the evidence. You see, that's why.
Yes.
Because if then anybody can walk into the courtroom and say that I was slapped by
so they can,
but I don't have evidence.
I produce an evidence that the man is taken out because of selfish reasons, and it manifested the very day he left office.
You know, in law,
that's enough evidence for the people of Ghana to know that this was not a right decision to serve the people, but to serve a personal interest.
Yeah, but this is a verbal evidence which must always be backed by other evidence. So they say evidence is that which supports a fact. This may be your fact, but if you don't have any proof to back that,
but what other proof do you need? I'm saying the thing is announced.
You are saying
it's announced. It's printed on paper. Yeah. There's a voice message to that.
Okay.
And there is a written document that it was sent to the Supreme Court that the court should no longer. They are no longer interested in a criminal investigation going on at the heart of the presidency.
Okay.
We are not interested anymore.
Okay. Okay, Dr.
What other evidence do you need?
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I think that we have interrogated the issues further, and I'm happy that you have sought to clarify issues for us. Let me now come to you, Abdul Mujib Kele. Please, let's hear from you. Why were you smiling when I was asking the question?
He was eager.
I'm now constrained, given the forth and
back and forth
of your conversation with doctor, because I don't know.
I've taken all the issues from you.
I don't know what, because at some point we seem to be talking law. At some point we are talking morality. At some point we say we should marry the two, and so I don't know. But let me also have a first bite of it before the issues can emanate. Before I do that, let me just make some quick corrections that doctor just put forth. It is not the case that the President of the Republic has been sued. It is the case that the government has been sued. That's what I said. No. Maybe you know.
I said the government is sued.
No.
He's sitting right here. So let's assume that.
Okay, so he can correct it.
It's not a correction. That's what I said.
Okay.
In fact, when we even out of the scene, you were saying that you cannot sue President Attorney General.
Okay, so
it's okay. It's the government.
It's okay. It's good that you've clarified the issue, that it is the government that has been sued, including you and I.
No, I'm not part of that. I'm the legislature.
Oh, no. Oh, the government that has been sued, you and I are part. It is government of Ghana.
We are not part of it. We are not part of it. No. The government is the one elected and are in the Flagstaff House and with their ministers. That's the government.
What are the arms of government? What is, we say arms of government.
You are
in one of the arms. So it means that there's a government, a composite government that you and I. Okay, that's not the substance.
We have government as an organic whole, and you have government as a ruling government.
Okay, so it is not the ruling government that has been sued. Then let me correct him if that's what he's thinking. It is not the ruling government that has been sued. It is the government of Ghana that has been sued. And the Attorney General, per Article 88, is the legal rep of Ghana government. So it's not the MPP government, that government. It is that government that has three arms, which you are in one of the arms that has been sued here. So we are talking about the audit service and then the fight against corruption. I think that it is important to place on record that if there's any government in the Fourth Republic that has attempted at enhancing or facilitating processes at the audit service, the NPP government would take that credit. But before I come to that, it is important to also notice that we must look at building stronger institutions if we want a better Ghana for all of us. It is only stronger institutions that can guarantee us the desired Ghana we have all been talking for, and not stronger personalities. We have always missed the point. When we speak as if it is Mr. Domelevo who is solely doing the work at the Auditor General's Department, we will not sometimes be fair to the hard-working, numerous staff of the audit service. Some from Paga to the coastal municipality that you would find here, we have people working under the audit service. And all these people are discharging their duties so appropriately, such that we will have a better Ghana. And so it is not a question of just Mr. Domelevo alone seeking to work for the audit service as a whole. So that must be placed on record. You are talking about the NPP government trying to witch hunt Mr. Domelevo. I am not too sure that is the case. It is on record, even by Mr. Domelevo. He made the point that he was so grateful to the NPP government because the NPP government, upon taking assuming power, enhanced the activities at the audit service. It is during Akufo-Addo's reign that the audit service got its highest budgetary allocation. It is on record that it is during the Akufo-Addo's administration that the audit service got the highest procurement for vehicles, which will facilitate their activities. And so there are so many programs and policies that the government is assisting the audit service with, which will facilitate their work. And all these are geared towards fighting corruption. So for the president to merely ask Mr. Domelevo to go on his annual leave, I am not too sure that it is one thing you can just ache in as the president not being willing to fight corruption. There are numerous activities that are ongoing in the audit service that seek to suggest that the president is having confidence in the audit service as an institution. The president is prepared to invest resources in the audit service so that they can competently discharge their duties to the nation. And they are so doing that. To have the president asking Mr. Domelevo to go on leave, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as many Ghanaians are concerned, is constitutional, it is legal, it is conscionable, it is not arbitrary. And I have not heard anybody said that the president is not clothed with the jurisdiction to do that. But the civil society organizations are in court. And before that, the law professor, Stephen Asari, your man, is currently in court, as you may be aware, in respect of this matter. But you and I, per our training, you are aware that when matters are before the courts, it will be prejudicial to begin to delve deep into the substantive issues, which may be the basis upon which the courts may make pronouncements. And so I'm constrained in now going into details, the issues that emanated this court action. But it is only commendable that, I mean, as a civilized country, we encourage institutions such as these civil society organizations to take up some of these matters, because it is when we test our laws and then definite pronouncements are made on those that are seen to be amorphous that can always guide all of us as public servants in particular in the discharge of our duties. And so I commend the civil society organizations for taking this bold step at testing the law on what it is that has been done. And I would urge Mr. Domelevo to restrain in his comments. Sometimes, I mean, it made me natural, but sometimes he's carried away by making some comments that seek to suggest that he's being witch hunt. That will never be the case, and that is never the case. But it is the case that our institutions must be allowed to work, and he cannot take it upon himself to say that he will think for Ghana. And he has his duty to perform. The president has his duty to perform. Nobody has sacked him from his office. He's been asked to proceed on his annual leave. Why you go to office? The audit, as we talk, the audit service is not only, most times we misconstrue audit service work to be just on financial issues. But the audit service, in fact, can come to your office and would be looking at your leave schedule. They go to offices. They want to look at your leave schedule. Don't you know that continuous stay in office without wanting to go on leave could be something that would breed suspicion? You are there. You don't want to go on leave. What is it that you are doing that you think that if you go on leave may be uncovered? So when you go to public institutions to audit, you are just not looking at their financial figures, but you look at human resource balance. Are people even in the right designations? You have a great background. You have what it takes to work in the finance directorate. They look at all those things, and after that, they would write their reports. And management would even respond to some of the issues. And so Mr. Demelovo should not lose sight of the fact that he is the Auditor General of Ghana because we have laws working. It is the laws of Ghana that made him the Auditor General of Ghana.
Fantastic.
There are people equally competent to have served in that position, but because we are a country governed by laws, it is those laws that would at every point in time put somebody there to function. If they say that they should use Buga Buga to be in that office, I am not too sure that he may be the right person to be there. If you are talking about morality, if they say that morality is a yardstick that we would use to measure who should be in the be the Auditor General, I'm not too sure if he may be the one sitting in that office. Okay. So
so within the context of the morality, and I think that it's important that Honorable Rashid Pepo brought in the conversation about morality, because morality gives rise to laws, and I'm sure jurisprudence, that there is no clear distinction or dichotomy between morality and the law. Because when the law is being applied, oftentimes the issue about morality plays a very significant role. Well, why has that decision been taken? Has that decision been taken in the interest of the people? Is it reasonable and conscionable to take that decision in the light of several conversations regarding a particular incident? So for instance, in this case, we are talking about accountability and corruption. And we have all admitted the very important role that was played by Domolevo when he became the Auditor General, and the fact that he has been able to independently expose some of the ills in our society, which ills we are all seeking to pluck. So on the basis of that, don't you think that it would have been very imperative for the president, in arriving at the decision to ask him to proceed on leave, to have considered those significant roles that he's played in respect of addressing the issue of corruption, to have allowed him to stay, so that we can look at the issue from that moral perspective as opposed to applying strictly the law?
KOD. Okay, just for purposes of education, I would come to the audit service thing. But when you talked about jurisprudence, there are various schools of thoughts there, and it is not all that are hinged on law. You are aware that positivism does little to with morality. You understand. You are aware that feminism does little with. There are various theories. It's just one theory that would hinge its root from
in the context.
Morality.
In this particular context, morality plays a very important role. In this
maybe a law student may be listening to you and I.
No, but I'm not wrong.
Am I wrong? I'm saying that there are various theories, and it's just one.
They will do their own research in respect of that. In this particular context,
of the theories.
In this particular context, when the president himself was very eloquently, passionately loud, right, when he intimated that when he was in opposition, that he was going to employ, or if you will, apply the analysis principle in addressing the issue of corruption in this country. So we can safely assume that the intention of government to address the issue of corruption is very clear, it's palpable. Now, on the basis of that, if you come into power and you find one particular one institution that is clothed with the authority of exposing some of these things, and then because it has affected your person, you have found it imperative, or if you will, expedient, to get a person out in order for you to let that which you are trying to fight thrive, then what have you done? Kwame, so that's the morality aspect of the conversation that I want us to address, not positivism or feminism. That is a matter we can discuss later.
It is important to place on record that the Auditor General was even in court, if you really followed the issues, contesting the issues that you think that may be the reasons for his being asked to proceed on leave. He was already in court. The senior minister was already in court with the Auditor General regarding that matter, and the court had not made any pronouncement making the senior minister guilty at the time, or even has not pronounced him guilty. And the president has always indicated that he will not shelve any of his appointees who is found in any corrupt act. And so to want to suggest that it is because of the senior minister that the president requested or asked the Auditor General to proceed on leave may be erroneous. I am not too sure that is the case. This is an Auditor General who has been performing his duties, who even while the matter was lingering, the president or the government continued to resource his office. He has come out to say it, that in fact it is under this government that they got their highest budgetary allocation ever in the Fourth Republic as Audit General. It is under this government that they got high number of vehicles, over 200 vehicles, to facilitate their works. And the president was well aware of that incident whilst he continued to empower the audit service. I don't always want us to see audit service as Mr. Domelevo. There's an audit service stocked with human resource who are into the daily activities of the audit service. In fact, the truth is they report to the Auditor General, but he is not the one always doing all the things. And I'm not too sure his involvement even in this investigation, how deep he was in that investigation. So to think that if he's being asked to proceed on leave, those who were in charge of the investigations or who were dealing with that matter would go to sleep, you would not be fair to those hard-working men and women of our country who are into that work. So let's put it in perspective. That work was ongoing when Mr. Domelevo was asked to proceed on leave. When he proceeded on leave, the matter did not end there. There was still a determination. It was based upon further investigations that the Auditor General came out to say that it was no longer interested in the matter. And to say that you are not interested in the matter necessarily does not suggest that the Auditor General was guilty, the senior minister was guilty. That can never be the case. You introduce a point of nolle prosequi. If you are investigating a matter and you don't have enough evidence, enough grounds to make any determination and conclusion, you can always defer and then get back to it later. You can always just leave it at that.
The answer that I was actually trying to get out from you was one that was hinged on morality and the law. And whether or not, yes, it was legally right for the president to have taken that decision, but morally, was it right?
Well, Kwame, that issue about morality is something that there isn't a measuring rod for it. Let me tell you this. We are talking about morality. You take the Constitution of Ghana, for instance, the requirements for being a justice of a court. They will tell you that high moral turpitude. I am here as a Muslim. If I can marry 2 or 3 or 4 wives, or 1, depending on my strength. If I have 3 wives, that is morally upright. Somebody may have a belief that marrying more than a wife is immoral. And so whose morality are we using here to measure that, okay, this act is moral or this act is immoral? To the extent that the president is clothed with jurisdiction to do what he did, to begin to invite people's morality into the matter will be muddying the issues, because at every point in time he is here, he has his measuring rod as far as morality in respect of this matter is concerned. I have my measuring rod. I am a lawyer, and I would want the law to take precedence, because if I want to say that morality...
But it's not always the case. I mean, there's even, there's even issues about political questions and things like that. I
am saying that to the extent that we have different culture, we have different religious beliefs, and what have you, and all these things have their moral standards, it is very difficult to begin to say that these are moral when it comes to public service, these are not moral when it comes to public service. When the law on the face of it solves the issues, why would you want to strangulate yourself by inviting people's opinions and morality? At the end of the day, when we allow that to prevail, a time will come, no decision can be taken with the law, because at any point in time, if you want to take a decision, somebody will say it's not moral. But of course, the law gives you the opportunity to do that. But somebody would say it's immoral.
Yeah.
Then he wants to do something based upon the law.
Right. We can say that we can argue
this is immoral.
Yeah.
You understand why? Where I come from, if your elder brother dies, you can marry his. You can inherit his wife. You understand?
Not inherit. You can marry.
Okay. Well, they are elders, so I wanted to defer to their knowledge. And now, okay, you can marry his wife.
With the consent of the woman.
Okay. The inherit here is in context. Yes, in context. So you can inherit and marry his wife. You understand? Somebody would say, how this is immoral, but that is my culture.
Absolutely.
You heard the Honorable Bagwin some time ago having issues. They said he went and married his wife's sister. In his culture, it is allowed. That is moral. But people sought to use that to score political points. He had done something immoral.
I take the children.
Exactly.
So
to begin to invite morality into a critical issue such as the office of the Auditor General will be missing.
The more critical it is, the more it is important that we look at the issue from all angles.
Of course.
And the morality that I'm bringing into this conversation has nothing to do with cultural morality or ethnic morality.
But which morality?
Hold on. But I'm talking about morality exactly, because and that's why I brought in the conversation about jurisprudence
or constitutional morality.
Yeah, morality. Because that's why I brought in the issue about jurisprudence and what jurisprudence says about morality and the law. They're not divorced. They are not completely divorced from each other. Hold on. The issue about morality that I'm bringing into the conversation has to do with the fact that all of us are aware.
So at the end of the day,
that there's corruption.
So
all of us are also aware. Hold on.
Okay,
hold on. Let's have.
You are aware.
All of us are aware.
I am not aware.
That
so the statement is not accurate.
That there's no corruption in this country.
Exactly.
There's no corruption in this country.
I am not aware.
And you campaigned with corruption in 2016. There's no corruption.
I am not aware.
There's no corruption. I see. Okay. Well, so Mujib Kele is saying that there's no corruption in Ghana. So
I'm not saying that there's no corruption.
No.
Put it in context.
You are saying there's no corruption. I'm saying there's corruption. You say there's no corruption. You are not aware. But not being aware means that you do not know, which means that there's no corruption.
Oh, you can enlighten me. But I'm saying that you can enlighten me by mentioning ABC.
I'm saying that there's corruption, right?
Okay.
And we have somebody who is clothed with authority to shine the light on all of these matters relative to corruption, right? And the president says that he wants to fight corruption. So the moral question or the moral issue here is that if you have somebody who is exposing corruption related matters, right? And you have a president who claims he wants to fight corruption, sacking the person.
He's not been sacked.
Hold on. But he's not the end result.
He's been asked to proceed. No. It's within the law. So
that's compelling. The law compels you.
I'm not bringing the issue of, because we have exhausted the issue of the law. Exactly. So we are not in disagreement with respect of the law.
Exactly. So the president. So it's on record that the president has done nothing wrong.
But I'm saying, you see, that's why I was interrogating Honorable on, and I'm saying that if you read the law is clear, and I even brought in the issue of literal interpretation and all of that just to buttress my argument, right? But I'm saying that moving beyond that, he raised a very fundamental issue of morality, and I'm saying that morality is not completely divorced from issues relating to law.
Yes.
Exactly. And I'm saying that in this particular context, knowing what we know, knowing the effort the gentleman is putting into the fight against corruption, did we have to, specifically follow the rules to say that we are getting him out when he is fighting that which is inimical to all of us?
I would.
And just 1 minute.
I would seek the opportunity again to correct that thing. It is not Mr. Domelevo that is fighting corruption. It is the audit service. It is the audit service that is charged with that constitutional mandate to do what they are. So when we sit here and let it look as if it is a Domelevo issue, you are talking about morality here. It can demoralize the other staff who are not in the spotlight but are working so hard.
Let me grant you that. So move from there.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the other issue. Let me grant you that.
So that as far as I'm concerned, the president has done nothing wrong.
All right, sure.
And I encourage the civil society organization for what they have done.
Yeah.
And we can only cross fingers and wait on our courts to make pronouncements on it.
Thank you very much, Abdul Mujib Kele. And we're all learning, isn't it? It's very important because I am aware that in some instances the court can decline that invitation to rule on a matter that is described as a political matter. So
yes.
It's always the political question.
Of course.
Political questions are defined from constitutional and prudential considerations. So that is why, you know, I wanted us to look at the issue of morality in respect of the interpretation of the law. So it's very
morality. No, it's just another theory.
You're not listening to me.
Okay.
I'm saying that the political question is there, and I'm saying that's why sometimes when you invite the court to interpret the law in respect of a political question, they decline that invitation. In most cases, they decline that invitation because of the issue of separation of powers and all of that, and the executive and the executive discretions that there is. But let me come to you and listen to you on this subject matter of the CSO suing Akufo-Addo. I'm sure you've listened to all the arguments made by Dr. suing the state. Suing the state. We've listened to Dr. Rashid Pelfo advance very important arguments. We've listened to Abdul Mujib also advance similar argument, but in very limited cases in disagreeing with Dr. Rashid Pelfo. But let me hear from you on this subject matter.
Once again, thanks for the opportunity. I would have been deficient, but fortunately, I am in the midst of two legal minds and a legislator, and having listened, I can also have something to say about the law. We are talking of law, the application of the law, but permit me to add another dimension, the weaknesses of the law. We cannot holistically appreciate the issue if we do not include the weaknesses of the law itself. When I look at the whole issue, I try to analyze it in the context of content and package. I do not understand the content of the president's intention. I don't know. But the package of the president's action is clear to me. Definitely, the application of the law, having listened to all of you, and I've learned something, thank you very much. I have understood that the application of the law can be properly done in the context of two factors. One, contextual. Two, circumstantial. You need to consider the context. You also need to consider the circumstance. Contextually and circumstantially, the action of the president raises questions of vindictiveness, witch hunting, politicization. Listen to me very well. I am not saying that it is. I am saying that it raises questions of vindictiveness, witch hunting, and politicization. And perhaps that is why the civil society organizations have gone to court to answer those questions. Right. Now, it is clear, having listened to all of you, that the president acted within the confines of the law.
Absolutely.
The law empowers him to act that way. Nothing wrong with that. But the weaknesses of the law contribute to the issue that we are discussing here. And my argument of saying that the act of the president raises questions of vindictiveness, partisanship, and witch hunting is that the timing, the circumstances were not good enough for the president to act. My reason is, this is a president who has publicly sworn to be firmly against corruption. We have an institution that is committed to the fight against corruption. This institution is headed by a person, a very strong person, who is committed to fighting corruption. The man and his institution have already instituted certain measures that led to the discovery of scandals, corrupt practices. So definitely, the president should have taken him as a darling boy. At the time that the man was leading the effort at discovering corruption, the president rather thought that this man should be put aside. And remember, we have forgotten one adjective that is very critical to this discussion: accumulated leave, right? I have heard some lawyers argue that there's nothing like accumulated leave. Accumulated. Because if you don't go on leave, there's something that you have to do. If you don't go on leave, you do something else to replace the leave. So there's no issue of accumulation. So even the president's claim of accumulated leave itself is a matter of contest before a court of competent jurisdiction. So just as the president has acted rightly, so the civil society organizations have acted rightly. But I'm saying that beyond the right act of the president in the context of the law, we still have something against that act in the context of the morality. I don't want to use that morality, I don't want to use that word morality, but in the context of the circumstance that we are dealing with. You have a person who is helping you to fight corruption. And this guy is largely seen as anti-government, anti-regime, let me put it that way. Yet, he has done something that is in line or compatible with your policy. I think no matter his political loyalty, he should be your friend. But at a time that he discovers something that allegedly went against one of the pillars of the regime, the president thought there was the need for the Auditor General to go, using all kinds of technical terms. So we should not blame the president on the face value of the law. When we blame the president on the face value of the law, we will be wrong. And I've got that education from all of you. But if you blame the president on the basis of misapplication or abuse of the law, in relation to the circumstance, they will be right. And I think it is good. The act of the president, the counteract by the civil society organizations will contribute to the enhancement of democracy in this country. I want to believe that the decision by the court will add another dimension to the rule of law in this country. I am not a lawyer. I don't want to talk too much.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me remind you that you're still watching the News for Review segment here on Pan-African Television. This is Good Morning Africa, undoubtedly your most authoritative and very informative morning show on the continent. Let me remind you again that the WhatsApp number is active, is 026-084-6539. So you can share with us what your thoughts are. We'll be more than willing and excited to read them out to you. Also, we're streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. So you can share with us what your thoughts are, and we will also read it out to you. I will be in Northeast this week. So those of you who, if you are in Nairobi, Gambaga, I'm coming to your constituency. A special good morning to you. Alhaji Baba Seydou Yusufu, who's contesting to become the member of parliament for Nairobi Gambaga constituency. I'm visiting your home hopefully tomorrow or tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, but definitely within this week, I'm going to Northeast. Dr. Rashid, are you jealous? You know, I've not been to her before.
You should come.
I'm told when I come there, they will make me a chief.
He promises to invite us.
Oh, he promises to invite us.
Let's say
let me hear so that
if we don't go to work, we hold him responsible.
So, no, we'll compulsorily make sure.
I'm going to launch my campaign. So hopefully.
And yeah, we'll be there. A special good morning to the midwives and the nurses at Wa Municipal Hospital.
You have found some enterprise.
Oh yes. Anyway, so keep your messages coming in. I'll read them out. Let's come back. There are 3 issues here that appears to be the same. Ghana back to HIPIC, not surprising. Ghana not declared HIPIC. Kojo upon Chroma. Bahama says Ghana's economy is in tatters. I want her to just marry all 3 topics together and address them. But before we deal with this HIPIC issue, so Kojo upon Chroma posted says it's not true that Ghana has been declared HIPIC or has been added to the list of HIPIC countries. This is what Kojo upon Chroma said. But this is what my very, very good friend Arnold Kavapu, who is a financial analyst, said. And I copied it and I posted it on my Facebook wall. He said no. The IMF may not provide us HIPIC reliefs and so will not be under any obligation to label us as such. But the term also refers to a category on debt profiles where debt sustainability becomes an issue. The kind that the Vice President alluded to be from 60% for developing countries in 2015. The same logic cannot change now. Today, the same Vice President headed the Economic Management Committee, which see our debt profiles to be estimated to hit 76% of GDP by year end. Now, we can't give you an applause and perhaps a standing ovation for this, especially as this government promised to reduce those unsustainable debt to GDP ratios. He continued to say that it is incredulous that our debt will hit 290 billion Ghana cedis by December, when this government inherited 120 billion in public debt. The sad part is that you will struggle to see how such huge sums made its way into the economy. The only thing most of us witness is high cost of living and dilapidated social infrastructure. Then he concludes by saying, where smarter we remember. That's what financial analyst Arnold Kavapu said. So, on the basis of this, and on the basis of what has been said by Kojo Nkrumah, what has been said by Bokpen, etc., and what Bahama is also saying about the economy, what sayeth thou, Dr. Rashid Peopo?
Well, thank you so much. Remember, when our debt to GDP ratio hit 57%,
yeah,
Bawumia came on air and took to his Facebook page and wrote that Ghana's economy...
67 actually.
67.
Yeah. Let me read it out so that...
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So on 24th day of March 2015, that was the day after my birthday, and Dr. Bawumia tweeted, he says, at 5:21 p.m., at 67% of GDP, Ghana's debt stock has crossed the critical 60% of GDP level that developing countries with limited access to capital flows should worry about in terms of debt sustainability. In fact, Ghana is right back to the debt unsustainability that led to HIPIC. However, HIPIC debt relief will not be available again. Ghana's status can thus best be described as that of a highly indebted lower middle income country. HIMIC. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, IMF bailout, will the anchor hold? Distinguished Speaker Series, 24th day of March, a day after my birthday, 2015. Thou sayest, Dr. Bawumia.
You see, now I get to understand that the challenge about the economy today and the challenge about the ruling class today is not because of their inability, but because of the lack of knowledge of the economy. In fact, he didn't understand the economy when he was telling Ghanaians all the things he was saying. Now I understand that actually he knows the economy only in theory. In practice, is zero. At 67%, he cried out and said that we were going back to HIPIC. At 76.7%, nearly 77%, he is still insisting that they are on the right track. You see, it is not the emotional argument that should be taken seriously. It's not the political gimmicks and political arguments that should be taken seriously. It's about the reality of the lives of people depending on an economy which should be moving, which should be expanding, which should be providing them with jobs, opportunities, and creating wealth. They are failing in all that. And once they fail, they find another explanation. What can anybody say about an economy you describe as a middle-level income, hippie country, and then the same middle-level income economy running up to 76%, nearly 77%, and then you want the Ghanaian populace to still applaud you? I'm telling you, there's a problem with this, our economy. There's a problem with the leadership. They have a big challenge. The challenge is that they have overborrowed, and there's no longer any physical space for us to operate. Whichever government that comes next year, you are going to face three major challenges.
Okay.
The first challenge is that you don't have a physical space to operate because you have borrowed so much that you can no longer borrow. When you're borrowing, and let me tell you, Ghana is the worst in Africa in GDP, in debt to GDP ratio. Ghana is the worst. Check the IMF records. At 76.7, we are the worst. So you have very little physical space to operate. What does it mean by physical space? You have borrowed to the point that if you put all your money and all the resources you have accumulated, you have worked for in a year together, and then put all your borrowing together, you have borrowed more than how much you earn in a year, or close to how much you earn in a year. 76.7% to how much you earn in a year. And so you have only 24% or less than 23.4% to operate. To operate with. You have only 24.4% to operate. No, 23.4% to operate, given the present situation we have. Now, debt servicing. It shows that the total revenue you earn in the country, everything you earn, at the last count in 2019, we earned 59 billion. And we are called upon to spend 52 billion in servicing debt. Can you imagine that? So how much is left for us to do salaries, to build the roads and the bridges, to finance senior high, to extend the electricity to the poor areas, to do all the things that we want to do? We have strangulated ourselves with too much debt. You earn so much, you give almost everything to debt servicing. That is the government that where it has led us to. I don't know what anybody would say. Sometimes you still find the spin doctors applauding them and saying they have done well. They should isolate the failure of Baumia and the Akufo-Addo and condemn them and hope that one day when they bring a new leadership, they can work the way they would work to serve everybody in Ghana and to boost the economy. In fact, because they fail to understand the economy, they have run it down. The second thing is that after doing all this to the economy, borrowing so much that we don't have any revenue left, because we use all of it to service debt, because they don't have enough money now to operate and to do to corrupt all the things they have been doing, to do all the corruption they have been doing, they have gone to our royalties, mineral royalties, and they are giving it out to an outsider, a private company, and say that anytime money comes into our royalty, $120 million a year, pay this into this company, but give us money. The company is giving them money, and they are giving the royalties to them for 15 years. That's the second one. The third one is that you have Get Fund, which is established by us, which constantly will bring money into the system for you to use it for educational development issues, build schools, renovate them, do all the equipment that will enable schools to function and education to reach the quality we deserve. You know what they did with it? They have given it to the Chinese. And they are taking $1.5 billion from the Chinese and say, anytime Get Fund comes, take it for 15 years. So if you come into government today, you can't borrow because you have exhausted your borrowing capacity. You can't fall on the royalties because they are giving it out. You can't fall on Get Fund because they have given it out. Beyond that, they are now saying that even the bauxite and everything still under the belly of the earth. Come and take it and exploit it. So what will you be doing as a government? The revenue you collect in taxes is gone because you have borrowed money, too much money. You can't use it anymore. All the taxes you collect, last 2019 you got 59 billion. You are using 52 billion to pay taxes. You have nothing. Okay, now go back to the gold royalties. The one where when you can, at least when you are hot, you take it and run the government. They have given it out too and taking money. Go to Get Fund, statutory fund. Statutory fund means that it is by law that every single time you collect consolidated fund, you put some money into Get Fund. They have taken that one too, giving it to Chinese. But the last one too is, after doing all these things, they are not satisfied though. They are looking for ways and means to still take money from the people of Ghana. And it is killing the economy. It's bleeding the economy to death. My brother, it's a very, very serious matter. The biggest challenge we have ever had in running this economy is the President Nana Akufo-Addo economy. Terrible. Very, very terrible. So, my brother, this is something every Ghanaian should be concerned about. Even if you are not a politician, be concerned that you are being sold. Your total wealth as a person, as a nation, is going to tatters. I have a last one, which I just momentarily will remember, and then add it, which is as equally devastating. Yeah, that they are giving everything out, and there's nothing left for us. So you come to government today, you don't know what to do. You are in trouble. The reserves, when we came, we left a reserves, total international reserves of over $6 billion. Go and ask them what the reserves are now. Ask them today, how much is the international reserves? They're scooping everything. I mean, it's something that we need to be showing concern about as a nation. You hear there are spin doctors saying that, no, it's not true. But let me come to the question of HIPIC. It is a description. You see, when Nana Akufo-Addo declared HIPIC, he said that, well, the definition of HIPIC is to say that, look, you are poor, you don't have money, you are indebted, you want help. And so you want to now tell the world that, and the requirement is for you to announce to the whole world that you are poor, you are indebted, you cannot pay your money. It's one of the fundamental requirements. Go and tell the world. Tell everybody, I'm broke, I don't have money, I'm begging for you to reduce, to pay money, to forgive my debts. So when Kufuor declared HIPIC, it's Kufuor, I'm insisting on that. He declared HIPIC in 2009, and when he did so, it was because, we needed money, and our economy was not a middle-income economy. So the definition, HIPIC has now become a household word, and the meaning of HIPIC now is financial distress. So to describe us today as HIPIC does not mean that you have gone to sign the HIPIC agreement. It doesn't mean you will have to proclaim it.
You've exceeded a certain threshold.
You have exceeded a certain threshold.
Yeah.
The highest we can find in Africa.
Right.
Debt to GDP ratio.
Is it not surprising? Because I do remember that when the NPP assumed the reins of power, one of the things that Kenneth Foriata was stouting was that they were going to ensure that there was some fiscal discipline. And we know that fiscal, discipline means that you are going to spend less. You're going to ensure that you generate a lot of revenue, even if you are going to spend you spend in areas that will rather generate a lot of revenue to sustain the economy. So I am surprised that we are talking about, I mean, you explained that the fiscal space is choked, and that, you know, it will be difficult fundamentally for anybody to come and want to spend to invest in other areas of the economy and to even go and borrow. How is that possible?
First of all, the total revenue you are using to use it to go and develop your country. You see, these days, have you ever heard about Ghana government project? No. All the projects, GOG project, Ghana government project, you can't get it. There's no money for that. So what they are doing is that, because the reason there's no money is because they are using all of it to pay the debts they have been taking. You see, they have taken, John Mahama came, he took to a $40 billion loan. See everything he has done. These people have come, they have taken about $146 billion loan. So we are choked. We are strangulated. So every money you collect at the end of the year, all the taxes you have collected at the end of the year,
goes into paying the debt.
You use a chunk of it to pay debts. Now, the alternative to use to get money is to go and borrow. You can no longer go and borrow because your capacity to borrow has been reduced.
Absolutely. Because
the people are going to tell you that, why are you going to get money to pay us? You are going to use a total, your consolidated fund. But that consolidated fund is not there. Then you say, okay, I'm going to use my royalties. Yeah. No. You don't have royalties now. You are giving it to a company. How can you use it to pay us? So you cannot borrow.
I see. That's very serious.
Everywhere you go and say, this is what I'm going to use, they will tell you it's not there. Do you know why they are not doing the roads? There's no road fund. They have mortgaged everything. So this is a terribly
the road fund
bad situation. That's the question. They cannot use it.
But all international transactions must go through Parliament.
And they have capped all statutory funds.
So what happened? Yeah.
All statutory funds have been capped. It's all because they still find it difficult to get money. Do you know the meaning of capping? They have Get Fund. And Get Fund says that you should give us, but the law says that 7.5% will go to Get Fund. Or 7.5% common fund, 7.5% will go to common fund. And this percentage is going to go to Get Fund. This percentage will go to National Health Insurance. They said, no, you can no longer get all that. Now, instead of 7%, we are making it 5%. Instead of 5%, we are making it 3%. So the rest of the money will come back to us because we need it to do something else.
There's a program that comes on at exactly 10 o'clock. So let me come to you, Dr. Marzouk, and then I'll end with my brother.
Okay, please. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
The HIPIC war is nothing but semantic gymnastics. What is true is that Ghana has not gone to sign anything about HIPIC. And I think my elder brother has stated that clearly. But what opposition elements are saying is that in view of our economic situation, perhaps dictated by the hardships and the spending of the government, we are in a state of HIPIC. So definitely you have two groups having different definition of one issue. That shouldn't even be a matter of concern to me. The semantic gymnastics of HIPIC is not at all an issue of discussion to me. It's not a matter of priority. What is a matter of priority to me is our glorification of dependency mentality. Why should we even be proud of discussing who does proper borrowing and who does not do proper borrowing? Why should we concern ourselves with discussing discussing what we have used borrowed money for and what we have not used borrowed money for, or the abuse of borrowed money? I think if we had listened to our great leaders, particularly Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana would have been a state of self-reliance and not dependency mentality. And today, when we talk of borrowing, in a regime that promises Ghana beyond aid, that becomes unfortunate. So I won't join this battle of semantic gymnastics. Mine is to appeal to this government and any other government that will come to ensure proper self-reliance. Our mineral resources should not be subjected to hegemonic manipulation. They should be domestically handled in the supreme interest of the state. Once we allow the resources, human and mineral, to be subjected to hegemonic manipulation, definitely we will remain in the state of dependency mentality instead of self-reliance. And that will continue to be an insult to the conscience of Ghanaians.
What's that?
I'm saying it says mineral, you depend on, you don't have it now. They are giving it for 50 years.
No,
can you imagine that?
And that's exactly what I am saying.
Eish.
This issue should not be, and you know, you cannot blame this government alone. What this government has done is a continuation of the evil perpetrated, economic evil perpetrated by the governments through, yes, that we have had before. But what I am saying is that it is even self-insulting to be discussing who does proper borrowing, who borrows well and who borrows wrongly.
No, in economics you can't.
You understand? No, I'm not saying that we can avoid.
Even America is borrowing.
No,
everybody's borrowing.
I do. But in a situation where our existence largely depends on
borrowing as reckless. You remember? So that's what he's trying to drive.
Yes,
we should either talk about it as being reckless, being not.
What I am saying is that yes, we are now. Yesterday it was a matter of independence. Today it is a matter of interdependence. Yesterday it was a matter of colonialism. Today it is a matter of globalization. So definitely we cannot do away with borrowing. But our borrowing should be dignified.
Yes.
Our borrowing should not be reckless.
Yes.
Our borrowing should be peripheral. Our borrowing should be in the interest of the state. That's exactly what I am saying. And when we go on the international scene and present ourselves as a nation of self-reliance, definitely we will be dignified by the borrower. But in a situation where we present a picture of depression, picture of dependency, without the borrowing, we cannot even exist as a nation. Definitely, we should be ready to be reduced to the victims of hegemonic manipulation. And that is unfortunate. Thank you.
Take us home, my brother. There's a live program that is happening, so
it is important to place on record,
please,
that the Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo says that Ghana is a West when it comes to debt to GDP ratio. It is not the case. That in Africa is not true, with all due respect.
Which is the worst?
I am not here to mention the West, but I'm here to mention countries that Ghana is doing better than, so that it will mean that your statement is inaccurate.
Okay.
Angola has a debt to GDP ratio at 111%. Mozambique has 109%. Congo has 98.5%. Egypt has 90%. This is something that you can check. We are here to educate the public. And I just want to put that on record, that his emphatic statement that Ghana is the West when it comes to debt to GDP ratio is false, is inaccurate,
it's misleading,
and then misleading, and that must be corrected.
This lawyers.
No.
Yeah,
some children of economics may be listening, and they respect him a lot. They may take it home that Ghana's economy is the West in Africa.
I will explain to you. You finish.
No.
I will explain to you why
you can't.
Said that.
Let me just
understand.
You said debt to GDP ratio, so yes. Don't lose sight of that factor.
Don't worry.
We are talking about building a better Ghana. He has thrown his hands in despondency that Ghana is doomed, and they are craving to come and govern, and they are promising primary health care for all, 10 billion push, 10 billion Ghana cedis push, into the economy and what have you. And you are saying that we have nothing again to deal with. What it means is that it is very scary going forward to entrust Ghana into the hands of the NDC, because the representative here has just made it clear that Ghana is in tatters and there is no hope as far as the economy is concerned. So it's very scary and dangerous to give Ghana to the NDC to govern. It means that that second coming that
will be disastrous.
They are promising. The second coming, even of Jesus, it is coming to close. So if we give the NDC the opportunity, they are just coming to fold Ghana, because the representative here makes the point that Ghana is doomed and there is nowhere to reach out to. But we are convinced that we will do something to get Ghana to where it has to be. You mentioned as far as 2015, Ghana's debt to GDP was, what, 67%? And what's the difference between then and now?
Yeah,
how many, you understand? What's the difference? And he is here, crying wolf, 67%. That is at 2015. You understand? Just how many, and then 67 to 70 is how many, what are they getting? Me, I'm poor at math.
3.
Plus 6.
Plus 6, that's 9.
Where did they take it from? We are talking about, as they have both agreed, or we all will know in economics, we cannot do without borrowing. What the Vice President spoke about then was a reckless borrowing that the NDC government engaged upon. Was the borrowing without value for money? You borrowed to come and buy what? Share amongst yourself to come and brand buses. We are talking about borrowing that will improve the lives of Ghanaians. We are talking about Ghana beyond 8, as Dr. alluded to, and we know that the mainstay of this economy is agriculture, and we have made conscious effort at ensuring that our agriculture is on its feet. So if you look at what we are doing and what we are even promising to do, we are talking about enhancing mechanization, providing improved seeds, providing fertilizer at a very subsidized price. Those are the kind of policies that if you inject into an economy, you can get it on its feet. And that is what we have engaged in for the past 4 years. He knows that the Upper West region can now boast of being the highest producer of maize. If the Volta region is well resourced, I am sure we can do well when it comes to rice production. The Western region can do well when it comes to cash crops like pineapple and what have you. If we consciously invest in these areas as the NPP government is doing, I am very convinced and confident that the economy will get its to its feet. Mind you, we inherited an economy that had no flesh. It was just bone. You know, the tea bread that you buy is just too hollow. That was the kind of economy they left for us. We are trying so hard to get it on its feet. Nowhere has it been mentioned that Ghana's economy is the best. We are saying that we are striving so hard to create an economy that can contain and sustain all of us as citizens. But the NDC has already assured us, thankfully, prematurely, that they have nothing to do as far as resurrecting what they call a dead economy is concerned, because they say everything is capped.
Right.
And so if you give them the opportunity, they are coming to just take us back into the darker days where students would be writing their exams without electricity, where small-scale businesses collapsed because they were not assured of energy. You had barbering shops collapsing, you have hairdressing salons collapsing.
Okay.
You and I, you know, people got diseases as a result of heat.
Thank you.
And what have you.
Thank you very much.
So we are saying,
program, right? It's started already.
Exactly. We are saying that we would ensure that we do what it is that we can do to get a better economy for us. Thank you very much. So if you give him an opportunity,
you have to also
notice that I spoke less as far as this topic is concerned. So it will only be fair. It will only be fair if we leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. The next time, next week we will try and address.
Okay, I will come and address.
Please.
Yes, because what I said.
Thank you very Ghana as a West.
IMF has collapsed an issue.
Thank you very very much, Dr.
IMF, you want to take us right?
Thank you very much, Dr. Nasipopo. Thank you very much, Abdul Mujib Kele. Thank you very much, Dr. Abubakar Mazouk. Thank you very kindly for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. Let me apologize greatly to you for not being able to read your messages because I'm pressed for time. But hopefully, next week I'll do better. I'm traveling over the weekend, so we'll meet. But next week I'll do better. But I'll see you guys next week. Do have a very wonderful time. I'll leave you in the capable hands of some of my wonderful colleagues here at Pan African Television. Have a nice day. God bless you. God bless me. God bless our homeland Ghana. And make us great and strong. Bye-bye.